Now, there are now 11 confirmed cases of coronavirus in the U.S. with 17,000 infections worldwide, most out of China. And with this growing global emergency, the CDC is now streamlining airport screenings. Christie Ethridge live at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. So, Christie, what can travelers expect here?
The U.S. has decided to funnel every passenger coming in from China through 7 different airports, and Hartsfield-Jackson is one of them. This is going to allow health officials to do more thorough screening of each passenger. So this is what it'll look like. A CDC spokesperson says everyone who's arriving from China will be kept in the customs area until the tests are done. Someone will take their temperature, they'll answer a question about how they feel, and then they'll be told to go home and self-quarantine. And the state health department will then follow up at a later time. Now, if someone shows symptoms, it's a little different. They will be taken directly to a hospital for quarantine.
I think it's a good thing, keeping everybody safe and make sure, it doesn't spread throughout Atlanta.
The CDC is working to get some extra staff for these airports taking on this extra screening. Workers are allowed to wear protective masks, but that's not mandatory. Delta, American Airlines, and United have all suspended flights to and from China. The last incoming Delta flight left yesterday and should arrive here at Hartsfield-Jackson later on this afternoon.